Woo! Second call of the month, February, JSEMP 2023. We are unfolding in the theme of healing the split from wounded inner child to healthy adult sovereign self this year. And it's a year-long theme. It is a lifelong teaching as well, but it's a year-long theme. And although each month kind of gives one main concept to work with and then downloads on the second call of the month, it's all kind of like trailing in together with the goal of bringing us into embodying more of our core star essence, of being able to bring back into us all these gifts, all the gifts from the creations that we have manifested, bringing them back into the core star so that we can generate more individuated God essence, so that we can create more light, so that we can spread more light into the world. The world is such a small word. The cosmos, the universe, the illusion of space-time, until all that's left is light. That's the main goal. What we've been doing this month is starting to dissect the anatomy of the defense structure. And I talked about how there's the outer layer, which is a more matured version of the negative intent that we use in order to not feel our core wounds and really tap into our divine essence. So it's like all the reasons why not. It's all about your map of reality and what your BS system has decided the world is and how to function in it, and what you can't do and what you can and what you should and what you shouldn't, and all that blah, blah, blah. 99% of that is not true. Yet we needed to believe that as children to survive in the environments we were in and understand how to basically manipulate the environment we were in order to feel safe enough to receive the food that we need, receive, I want to say the love that we need, but you can't fool any essence self into believing that when we get approval, good girl, that's actually the love and the soul level essence recognition that we're looking for in other beings that we are with. But still, we figured out as children what we need to do in order to survive in this world and in order to get from other wounded egos what we need to survive and what we need to feel safe. I'm going to have a lot of fun next week and next month going into the levels of the brain structure and really explaining how the instinctive and emotional brains function. But for now, we're still discovering these layers. So we've got that outer layer, which is the outer defense structure. It's seasoned, it's intelligent, it's what you normally call your egoic structure. Then deeper than that, you have the inner defense structure. And that's the one that gets tricky to work with, because that one is the defense structure that the childlike, unevolved brain structure that you have came up with and made sense of. It's irrational, it's hyper emotional, and it is purely reactive. That's a hard one to work with. That's a really hard one to work with. The main flavor of that inner defense structure, which is childlike, emotional, and irrational, the main flavor of it is hopelessness and helplessness. So feeling powerless and feeling hopeless. And let's be honest here, when you're 4 years old and you don't like what an adult is doing, it's not like there's a lot you can do about it. When you're an infant and something around you is going on that is traumatizing you, there's not much you can do about it. So that feeling of helplessness and powerlessness, of hopelessness and helplessness/powerlessness is very, very intense to feel. It's very intense to feel that energy. One second. We have a cat participating to the call tonight. So you've got that outer layer. Something happens that manages to breach that outer layer, and then the inner defense structure kicks in. And that one is, we've all seen each other like that. We become an emotional mess. We are completely irrational. We're saying words like, you never do this. This always happens. It never ends. Nah, 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 all that kind of language. And we go into crying, and we're in pain. But that is what's called the hard pain. Because that's not the wound. That's already stuff that got put on top of the wound. If we can go deeper than that, if we can actually be in that reactive field and hold steady and go deeper than that, we can actually go into what is the real pain, which is called the soft pain, right? That's the theme of the month, hard pain versus soft pain. That's soft pain. Like the downloads and discernments I want to do tonight, a lot of them are going to be based on working with really getting that clear discernment. Because I'll tell you right now, that hard pain that we feel from the emotional reactions of the inner defense structure, which then makes the outer defense structure gets really smart about it. And it starts judging and bashing the inner defense structure, which creates this cycling. It's like you're recycling the pain. You're recycling it. The cycle keeps going. And it's like, you're like, oh my God, I'm such a fucking moron for crying. And So then that part that's already like, now it has to deal with not only whatever breached from the outer world and freaked it out, but now it's got to deal with the outer defense structure attacking the inner defense structure. This is what we do whenever we're judging ourselves. This is what we do whenever we're judging someone else in a reaction like that, instead of noticing what's going on. They're not there anymore. They're 4 years old. They're not there. Right. And when we're in that place, we're 4 years old. We're not really there anymore, but somehow the ego is more than willing to kind of hone in. Not because it's a bad guy. It's just, that's the nature of our wounded ego, of our unhealthy ego. It's like a machine that judges. It judges us all the time. It judges the world and others all the time based on how they're reacting, based on what they're doing that isn't what you would want them to do. So this is such a key piece. Once we start understanding that dynamic, it's like, oh, something just happened, freaked me out, boom, it got through my defense structure. I can tell I'm not just able to like kind of like evade it or whatever. And all of a sudden it's like, ooh, this like weird emotional reactions coming up in me. And I'm like, I can feel that I'm about to become a 3-year-old and I'm about to like start screaming at my boyfriend, or I'm about to like go hide in a room and whatever, like, and smoke or drink or however that works for you. Like, if we can go just a little bit deeper, if we can actually understand cognitively what's happening and go deeper than that, then we go into the wound. And into the wound, it's nothing like what's going on in the outer defense structure or the inner defense structure. In the wound is just pure, raw, emotional energy. It's not that complicated. It doesn't have words. It doesn't have stories. It's like pure fear or pure sadness or pure anger, or it is. I love that I'm saying the word pure. I had no idea I was going to say that, but that's really what it is. It's pure. It hasn't been tainted by a reactive energy yet. It's like something happened, shock happened, the feeling of it got stuffed in the body, and then we went and hid in our minds. And now we need to get back in there. And that place is raw and real. And if we can just hold that, if we can hold our loving ground in that energy long enough, that wound it's not, the emotion gets consumed. The emotion finally gets to come back with the memory. And that's the key to releasing it. That's the key to forgiving and forgetting. When you truly release, there's nothing left. And that's a really interesting concept, because for our ego and our mind, it's like, that's impossible. If I cut my skin, I'm going to have a scar for the rest of my life. And that's how your ego thinks. It's very 3D, you know? If I give you this bottle of water, then I no longer have water, period. And we've already talked about this a little bit. That's not at all the way it works in the energy world and in spirit world. In the spirit world, if I give you something, I amplify it in me. If I share an idea with you, I amplify that idea in me because I'm expressing it. It's allowing more of myself to receive it. And you're also receiving it and expressing it. So that's now bigger for all of us. It's kind of the same thing with deep energy healing. Whatever you fully heal in yourself, not only is it fully healed and it's not there anymore, but everyone receives it. Everyone receives that healing. It's quantum reality. It's kind of trippy and it doesn't make any sense to the 3D brain. I've talked about this again, and I really want to hone it in. I want you to understand, if you fully release blocked energy in your body, if you fully release it, we go in there, we feel what's going on, we go deep into the emotion, not into the irrational reaction, not into the outer defense structure that's a little bit more intelligent, deeper, 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 deeper into the raw thing. And we merge it back, it dissolves. Lesson complete. Level complete, like in a video game. Level complete, it's over. Next. Not, oh, I have completed that level. It's still kind of lingering and following me everywhere because I didn't do the thing. It's over. What you cry out or express out of you, that you are expressing out of the deepest level of where it actually is, it is gone forever. It is gone forever. Out of your field and out of the field. If that's not reason enough to be willing to go feel these things, I don't know what is. Because if you remember, what does that mean after? One level deeper than that is the pure core star energy that was trapped underneath that. If you remember that drawing we did last 2 weeks ago, core star energy, wound, inner defense structure, outer defense structure. That's what we're trying to do. You feel that wound, you bring the emotion and the thought back together, it is dissolved, and all that pure core star energy can finally start circulating again. And it circulates, and you bring your creations back into you. You expand again, you bring new creations out, you bring them back in, and now we've got flow. Now we're breathing. Now we're breathing with the core star. Now we're breathing with the creative being that you are. So, woo! I'm going to keep fine-tuning the understanding of this. Just so you know, next month, one of my main goals is to really help you understand, based on your typical reptilian brain instinct, whichever one got fine-tuned before you were 6, there's a certain way that you react to things. And that has literally built the way you act in your daily life. And then we can have fun with that, because then we start noticing what we're doing. The more you cognitively notice what you're doing, the more you're able to observe it, like, oh, I'm doing that. I'm doing that right now. Just that is 50% of the transformation. Just you seeing what you're doing is 50% of the work. The other 50% is to go, okay, I see that. And now I choose this. So for example, oh, I'm going into a reaction. Okay, I see that. And now I choose to go into response. Oh, I'm about to get really like emotional and irrational. No. Okay, I got this. I got this. I choose to respond and go deeper into the real pain, that's underneath that. My core stars are already like pulsating. I'll tell you something too. We are learning about this. And at the same time, it's normal that stuff happens in your life that puts you in a situation where you need to embody the teaching, where you need to embody what we're talking about, because this is it. This is the work, right? Here's the teaching. And then life's like, okay, let's give them on a plateau. Let's give them the experiences that allow them to make the choice. So please, if you notice things going on in your life, you're like, why is this going on? This is why. Because we're opening the field up to this. And as a collective, we're accepting to do this work, and we want to go into it. And all there is on the other side of this is freedom. Freedom. Freedom of being stuck in reactions. Freedom of being in defense structures instead of being in real-time response. Your ability to respond in real time with everything going on in your life, not from reactions. That's the goal. And that's freedom. That really is. So, okay. That's my little bit. We're going to go into the downloads and discernments. Just so you know, I'm going to re-hone in on what we did last time with the feeling the difference between the different energy bodies, because that's something else I wanted to explain to you. And I don't know if I explained it 2 weeks ago clearly, but when we find a place where there's blocked energy in your body, like the blocked energy, like cloudy thing, if it's in the emotional body, it looks like clouds. If it's in the body related to the heart chakra, it looks more like mucus. It's like kind of like more like liquidy, gooey. Like when we find one of those in the body and we bring new energy in it, and we're working on releasing it from the body so that we can then actually fix the structured level of the body, the way that looks as it's coming out to be released is it comes up the central line. It comes up the central line. If it's able to come up the central line without the mind getting in the way, without the inner defense structure or the outer defense structure going into its little, if we're able to not do that, it comes up and it comes out. It comes out through the crown. What happens most of the time is it comes up, it gets here, it gets kind of clogged up here, the mind kicks in, and then it ends up doing this. And it gets recycled. Maybe a couple times. I don't know. I used to have resentment periods of 2-3 days. What do you think is going on during these 2-3 days? It's just that energy block moving around and getting more and more juice and more judgment and more this. And why am I still in this? I should not be doing this anymore. Why am I still fucking pissed off at him? I'm so stupid. Recycling. And then by the end, it's just stuffed back in where it was. And now it's bigger. Now it's bigger. And now it connects to other ones. And then eventually we have literally a whole armor suit on us. So I really want you to understand this. When we're able to find one of these places and hold space for it and feed it with all this love and have the guts to go deep into the real raw feeling of it. It's like a pure feeling of fear, of anger, of pain, of sadness. It's not triggered by what we're thinking about it. It's the real thing. It was the initial one. And we're able to hold space for that. And we're able to let it come up the central line with lots of love and lots of love and lots of love. And it gets here and just more love, more space, more witnessing, more presence. Letting it out the crown, back into the universe, out of the crown. And then there's like when you're working with the healer, then they will take care of like really sealing the aura, just really sealing whatever, just to make sure that once it's out, that whatever was kind of like affected or generating it is sealed. So that's kind of what we're in the structured bodies, the etheric and the mental body. That's the process. Once that's out and whatever needs to be fixed at the structured level is just put back together. Sometimes we just ask Source to do it. Then that is over. It's done. It's over. It's hard for us to believe it because a lot of us haven't had that experience yet of really, really healing something so completely that when you try to think about it, it's like something you saw in a movie. Like it's not even you anymore, because the part of your energy that was stuck there has been released. And the core star energy that was in it has come back into the core star. And that part of you doesn't exist anymore. What a concept. To heal the inner child is actually to dissipate and dissolve it. Because what we call the inner child are all these fragments of our energy that are stuck in the space-time continuum at specific moments. They're stuck in an emotion. Whew. Wow. My God, I love this word. So, I don't know how you are right now, if you're sitting or laying down, however you are, just get comfy. If you're sitting, do your best to really be as straight as you can, not curved, like just imagine that it's almost like a wire is holding you up and there's a lot of space between the vertebrae. Or if you're laying down, just comfortably, softly, not weird positions, because we just want the energy to be able to flow in properly. And we're gonna start the source downloads. For those watching this that want to join us and actually experience the source downloads, read below the video and you'll find out how to join us.